Dear black people, you ask us not to judge you by the worst of you, yet you only judge us white people by the worst of us. Dear black people, it's 2020. No white person in America doesn't think your life matters. You don't have to join a violent protest movement like Black Lives Matter or Antifa in order to get that message across. We already know. And you certainly don't need to burn down buildings, tear down statues, or murder anyone. Dear black people, you are actually more likely to live through an encounter with police than I am. Dear black people, you are not oppressed in America. Blacks are not disproportionately poor because of racism. Blacks are disproportionately poor because you hate white people.
The white race is the most violent and oppressive force of nature on earth.
Your culture is broken. It's infected with the disease of racial hatred. You reject everything you perceive to be white. Black kids are ridiculed if they try to do well in school because that is a white thing. Black culture rejects proper English. Many young black men dress in a way to threaten and intimidate. No amount of perceived disrespect can go unchallenged without the threat of violence.
I'll jab your ass in the throat and the nose, so you'll be bloody all over the place.
No company wants to hire anyone with these values. Dress well, speak well, encourage your children to study, regardless of your antipathy toward white culture. Or better yet, stop being racist. This culture of hate has crippled your people. Your hate is a shackle. And who encourages you to hate? Democrats. Democrats tell you day after day through the mainstream media that white people are racist against you, that we are the cause of all of your problems.
They live comfortable lives in nice areas because they're white. And the advantages white people enjoy, the privileges they have, are endless.
Reject this. It is utter nonsense. Take responsibility for your own achievements and for your own shortcomings. Dear black people, affirmative action is a systemic advantage, and it's a huge one. There are poor young white men out there who would love such an advantage, but they aren't given this same opportunity. Dear black people, it's okay if a white person finds your hair intriguing. It's not a sign of disrespect. Don't be so sensitive. Dear black people, dreadlocks are actually a white thing. Look it up. Dear black people, white society did not grow rich simply from exploiting your ancestors. White society grew rich by creating amazing things for you to enjoy. Instead of considering whites as exploitive, consider us as creators. Look around you. Almost everything you have was invented by a white person. Electricity, cars, airplanes, indoor plumbing, TV, computers, telephones, cameras, microphones, refrigeration, modern clothing, gym equipment, modern farming techniques, the sophisticated trade networks that bring you tropical fruits, sugar, coffee, tea, and exotic spices. And of course, modern medicine. You have all of these things because of white people. You call it oppression. It's not oppression. It's wealth beyond anything the world has ever seen, and you have access to all of it every day. So perhaps instead of hating white people, be grateful for our existence. Dear black people, be grateful that you were born in the greatest country in the world, where you are freer and probably wealthier than you could ever be anywhere else on earth. The cousins of your ancestors left behind in Africa, their descendants were not so lucky. They still live in the most impoverished continent on the planet. Dear black people, most white Americans are not the descendants of slave owners. Most black Americans are. Have your DNA tested. All American descendants of slaves alive today have European genes. Those European genes came from slave owners. So if you must hate people for the sins of their ancestors, consider that the ancestors you're condemning are your own. Dear black people, you are privileged to live in America. You are so privileged that some white people pretend to be black Because in many ways, it's actually easier to be black in America than to be white. Dear black people, the Democrats are the party of the KKK, Jim Crow laws, redlining, and everything that you criticize white people for historically. The Republican Party freed the slaves, and hundreds of thousands of white men gave their lives for the freedom of your ancestors. And Republicans pushed for civil rights legislation for decades. Dear black people, Republicans want all Americans to prosper. Democrats want to keep you on welfare so that you keep voting for them. Dear black people, stop voting for Democrats and stop being racist.
The goal for all of us should be that one day things will be done neither because of nor in spite of any of the differences between us, ethnic differences or racial differences, whatever they may be, that we will have total equal opportunity for all people. And I would do everything I could in my power to bring that about.